Here's some of what's heading your way tonight on your News at 9. Area power companies are asking people to conserve energy to reduce stress on their grids. Plus, we'll check on road conditions across the 4 states.
Ottawa County residents are coming together to try and help those less fortunate. I'm Zach Dodge with what they're doing to try and get people out of the freezing temperatures. Coming up.
Doug Heddy has weather. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Dow Quick. We're experiencing record low temperatures in the 4 states. Let's start with Doug Heddy for the latest on the weather. Doug.
Hey, Dow. Temperatures are extremely cold. In fact, they blow the records really out of the book. Our record low for today is 8 degrees, set back in 1986. Our high was 1. So our high temperature was 7 degrees below our record low, which is absolutely crazy. I don't know if I've ever even seen that in my almost 20 years here, but extremely cold temperatures for us tonight as we continue to drop off. Finally, we got rid of one storm. We had anywhere from about 2 to 8 inches across the viewing area, but in Joplin, 7 inches. Pittsburgh picked up about 4.5 inches, and that gives us 13.5 on the season. Wind chill warning for us tonight. Wind chills are going to be about minus 20 to minus 25, but look at our temperatures already. Minus 6 in Yates Center, minus 2 in Miami, minus 6 in Pittsburgh, Joplin, minus 7 in Carthage. Temperatures are going to drop into the mid-negative teens for us tonight. Of course, we got another round of snow to talk about too, all coming up here in just a bit.
All right, we'll catch you then. Thanks, Doug. People all across the 4 states are being told to prepare for possible rolling blackouts as electricity demand exceeds what's produced. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with Liberty Utilities about what to expect and how we can all help.
The Southwest Power Pool, which is made up of dozens of utility providers from the Mexico border to the Canadian border, issued a Level 3 energy emergency alert, meaning demand on all of their member utilities is outpacing the ability to produce energy. Evergy and Liberty are 2 of the major utilities in our area on the Southwest Power Pool. All of the members have been asked to implement controlled temporary emergency electricity reductions to help reduce that demand. For some, that included residential customers. Liberty officials say they're trying to avoid that.
Our first step is to work with our industrial and commercial customers. We had already been working with those customers to curtail energy use. And so we began working with those customers to shut down power. That helped, allow that energy to go back to the grid to help serve our residential customers.
Another step Liberty is taking is expanding the peak alert from beyond just the normal peak hours.
We expanded that for all hours, and we're still asking our customers to please conserve energy where it's safe to do so until midnight on Tuesday.
Price says it's important for customers to conserve as much as possible.
And we recognize it's definitely not a convenient time to conserve energy. It is bitterly cold, but we're asking this of our customers so that we can avoid longer-term outages.
Price says there are a few things you can do at home that can go a long way to keeping the lights on.
Certainly lowering the thermostat by a couple of degrees. 68 degrees is what the recommended winter temperature is. If you can lower it a little bit below that, if it's safe for you to do that, we would ask that you do that. Avoid, energy consuming activities if you can. Things like running your dishwasher, washing your laundry. If you're looking for an excuse to not do laundry, I'm giving it to you. You don't need to do it.
Price also recommends turning the temperature on your hot water heater to 120 degrees. She also wants to thank customers for already doing their part in conserving energy, and she wants everyone to thank the line crews out ensuring power outages from the storm don't last longer than they need to. In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Some area water districts are also asking people to conserve water at the moment to reduce the strain on their systems. Now, because of those rolling blackouts, we're seeing outages in the area. Evergy has temporarily shut down power for 589 customers at the moment. That includes some in Pittsburgh. An Empire District had been doing rolling blackouts, but currently we understand it has no customers without power. You'll find links to power companies and their outage maps on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. A more obvious immediate impact of the weather is road conditions. MoDOT is running trucks around the clock with operators working 12-hour shifts in southwestern Missouri. The department says they ran about 250 trucks today in the Southwest District, but about 10% of their fleet is down due to issues caused by the extreme cold temperatures.
Here in the Ozarks, we're so used to freezing rain and sleet, and then it finally transitions to snow. So this, being that it started out extremely cold and the ground was already cold, it's helped us in that traffic's been helping us kind of blow that snow off the road, and in addition to plowing.
MoDOT also wants to remind people to slow down and give extra space to their snow plows to avoid potential accidents like one accident that happened today in Joplin. In southeast Kansas, truck drivers are having a hard time navigating the snow-covered roads. Many of them are using a fuel additive to keep their fuel from gelling in the cold temperatures just so they can keep the motor running.
But it's not like it freezes solid. What it starts to do is get too thick, and therefore your pumps can't circulate it up to your engine, which causes the loss of power and the shutdown right there.
Seems most drivers are taking it slow, but we're seeing several cars off the roads in ditches. Road crews in Oklahoma are continuing to work around the clock. 25 to 30 trucks are still in operation across northeastern Oklahoma tonight, with 2 or 3 trucks down due to mechanical issues. While crews have kept I-44 in Ottawa County and Highway 10 in Miami as clear as possible, Jack Damrell with the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority has seen other issues across the state due to the number of drivers on the road and some drivers going too fast.
Those who are traveling are just traveling way too fast. It is really shocking to us at the Turnpike Authority to see this many number of people who are traveling too fast for conditions. It's really frightening to us.
If you do venture out, please take it slow and remember that you can check on the latest road conditions with links on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Some Northeast Oklahoma residents are pulling together to help neighbors weather this storm. KOAM's Zach Dodge has that story.
70-year-old Miaman Dale Garrett enjoys a meal in a warm environment, something that's harder and harder to find as the temperatures outside stay hovering around zero.
If it wasn't for this being open, there'd be a lot of people froze to death.
The last couple of days and nights, he stayed at New Hope Christian Church in their emergency shelter.
They've done a great job for my part.
I sent out a Facebook request to set up a church, and Judy called within 2 hours and had this place set up.
We have a core group of people who stood up and said, I will be there to help. I'll cook, I'll do whatever we have to do. What do you need us to do?
The shelter's been open since Friday, offering 3 meals a day and a warm place to sleep for anyone that needs it. Miami native Tony Holden says before the shelter was opened, hotels gave out hotel rooms and even rented a hotel block, but they all filled out quickly since there's no homeless shelter in Miami. Now that they have the shelter, he and other residents, including the mayor, are getting the word out.
People are turning in addresses for people that they're worried about, and just trying to make sure if they have heat.
One of those residents doesn't have water or electricity, partly because of rolling blackouts, and has a son with autism.
We've got a great shelter. It's a new church, and it's food and cots, and everybody's it's a real nice place to be.
Only thing is, he won't leave.
So now Holden plans to find a way to help her and keep trying to get people without heat to come to the shelter.
A really bad time right now for a lot of people that can't afford their electric, a lot of people on the streets, but no one deserves to suffer. And thank God for this church for setting this up.
In Miami, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
The church plans to stay open as long as necessary. Miami residents have also offered to take people to the store for groceries and other necessities. And this evening, a group of volunteers drove around the county to find people who don't have electricity so they could take them to the shelter. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another four-state hero. Robert Wingard served in the U.S. Army in 1945 and 1946. Pittsburgh native was stationed in France, Germany, and Austria. And we salute Corporal Robert Wingard, a four-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, now that former President Trump's second impeachment trial is over, Congress lays out their next steps.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a nasty day for us today. Really, this dates all the way back to last Monday when we had the ice across the region and our temperatures, the Arctic air rolled in, and we kind of went down every single day last week, and we continue to do that. Tonight should be the bottom of that hill, and then we'll slowly start to trend upward. But we also have another chance for snow in the forecast, so we want to make sure that you always have access to the KOAM weather app. So on the screen, you can actually see the QR code, and what you can actually do is if you pull out your smartphone and then you open it right to the camera and then put it right on top of the QR code, it will download the Skywatch weather app for you. You get tons of information, videos, current conditions, forecasts, plus it's free, so you might as well take advantage of it because we got more snow in the forecast so far with this storm, depending on where you lived. If you live in Kansas, most areas were 2 to about 5 inches. Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri, most areas were 5 to 8 inches, and officially in Joplin, we picked up 7 inches, so 13 and a half for the season, which obviously we got a good chunk of that over the past 24 hours. Here's Indigo Sky Casino Resort, of course, the snow-packed parking lot, and just about everybody is snow-packed in. Plus, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Look at the temperatures right now. Most areas from about -3 to about -6 or 7 degrees, and these temperatures will continue to drop tonight, so dangerously cold air. It really, about 2/3 of the country. I mean, you can see from Lincoln, Nebraska, -14. It's 11 in Denver, -4 in Des Moines. Even Dallas is sitting at 9 degrees. The winds aren't near as strong as what we had earlier, but we still have wind chills, -15 upwards to -20, just because we have that light little northerly wind. So that does give us wind chill warnings throughout the overnight hours for us tonight, and then into the morning hours for us tomorrow. All right, this storm system is out of here. It's rotating up through the Ohio River Valley, producing all the snow. Illinois, Indiana, parts of Ohio, heading away from us. But our next system is dropping into the Pacific Northwest, and this system will start to affect us by tomorrow night. Until then, we mainly have the cold to deal with. You can see our wind chills later on tonight, about -25, which is obviously dangerously cold. You don't want to be outside if you don't have to. Even our wind chills tomorrow, they're still going to be -5 to about 0 as we work through the daytime hours for us on Tuesday. Also, we're going to have snow chances right back in. We are going to start the day with some clear skies. That's one reason why we're dropping so much tonight. We have the snowpack and you have clear skies. So down to pushing -15 by morning. During the afternoon, I think most of us will get up into the mid-teens, but just a brutally cold day for the entire four-state area. -13 at 6 a.m., 9 by noon, high temp right around 15 degrees. Watch the snow start to work in. So this is going to be mainly after 9 p.m. tomorrow, but it's going to be a heavier snow. It's going to come down faster and harder than what it has over the past 24 hours. So we're going to see some quick accumulations. So here's 11:30. Let's go through the overnight hours. 3, 4 o'clock, the heaviest snow will start to press east. And then after 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, we're just going to have bouts of snow showers, kind of like what we had during the daytime hours today. So accumulations would be less. And then most of this will start to rotate out of here by Wednesday evening. But still, we're going to get some more accumulation. Our northern counties are going to have the least. I think 1 to 2 inches. If you get up toward Yates Center, Fort Scott, Nevada, everybody else is going to be 2 to about 4 inches of snow. I think the better shot to have 4 inches of snow is if you live south of Interstate 44. 15 tomorrow, 24 on Wednesday, 23 on Thursday. Finally, we hit the whopping 32 mark on Friday.
You know, it wasn't that long ago that 20 degrees seemed cold, Doug, but boy, weather like this can change your perspective in a hurry.
Yeah, 24 on Wednesday sounds pretty good.
Sounds like a heat wave, relatively speaking. Thanks, Doug. Coming up, what comes next on Capitol Hill?
With the impeachment trial behind them, the Senate plans to get back to work on another coronavirus relief bill. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington, but the questions remain over the January 6th attack on the Capitol. What senators want to do about it coming up.
A new week in Washington. The Senate impeachment trial for former President Trump ended with an acquittal. Now the Senate is in recess, but they're already talking about what they need to do when they return. Fox's Lauren Blanchard is in Washington with more.
The former president's impeachment trial may be over. Still, a growing number of Republican and Democratic senators want a 9/11-style commission to examine how the January 6th attack happened and what could have been done to prevent it.
There was a pre-planned element to this attack that we need to look at. Did Nancy Pelosi know on January the 5th that there was a threat to the Capitol? What did President Trump do after the attack?
While they work to set that up, it's back to business for the Senate next week. Senators are out on recess until February 22nd. When they return to the Capitol, they'll need to keep working on President Biden's $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan.
We're going to keep working together, and we are going to defeat COVID this year. That's got to be the number one issue for all of us. We cannot build back our economy until COVID is under control.
And there's a deadline for another relief bill. If no new legislation is passed by March 14th, extended unemployment benefits expire, which millions of Americans are counting on. Democrats have set the bill up to be passed through reconciliation, which needs only a simple majority to pass. The Senate is split 50-50.
Democrats have provided a pathway so that if a month from now, as unemployment checks are at the verge of stopping for 10 million Americans, we can proceed with a Democrat-only bill.
There's still a big disagreement over the next round of stimulus checks. Democrats think they should be $1,400, while Republicans think the payments should be more targeted. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
After the break, coronavirus cases and deaths across the country decline as vaccination efforts ramp up.
Jasper County.
Confirmed cases, hospitalizations, and deaths due to COVID-19 are significantly declining as the biggest vaccination effort in American history ramps up. Fox's Anna Eliopoulos has more from New York.
We may finally be getting some containment on the coronavirus outbreak. In the past week, new daily cases fell almost 23% as the vaccination effort ramps up. More than 14 million Americans have now been fully vaccinated, but most local leaders say they're still struggling with distribution. Some health officials say it's a supply issue on the federal side, while others say it's about logistics.
It's been kind of a lottery, it doesn't make sense.
I think a lot of organizations and providers have good intentions, but some just don't have the capacity.
And as eligibility continues to expand, AstraZeneca is planning a clinical trial of its vaccine in children for the first time, looking for 300 volunteers between 6 and 17 to determine if adjustments need to be made for kids.
What we would do would be to look at the safety profile and the immune response, and as long as that is very similar to adults, that the vaccine would then be used.
Meanwhile, the investigation into the origin of the virus is heating up, with the WHO accusing China of stonewalling its researchers. The Biden administration says it's concerned the investigation may be compromised, leading to calls for a stronger response from some members of Congress.
It's nice that the Biden administration is codifying what the previous administration had to say, but at the same time, they went and rejoined the World Health Organization.
At least one lawmaker is now advocating for a boycott of the 2022 Beijing Olympics, citing, quote, the ongoing global devastation from COVID-19. In New York, Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
Coming up, a very special cat in England celebrates a career milestone. Larry the cat here is marking 10 years as the symbolic rodent chaser at Great Britain's Prime Minister's residence in London. The tabby was recruited by then Prime Minister David Cameron to solve a rat crisis. The rescue cat entered his new home and role as the Mouser-in-Chief on February 15, 2011, and has been a much-loved resident ever since. The rats might have a different opinion. Larry does an admirable job at walking the premises, greeting guests with typical cat passiveness, and keeping rival cat Palmerston from the Foreign Office at bay. Larry can be seen making appearances at key government greetings of foreign leaders. 30 more minutes of news and weather coming your way. We're going to hear from a local health expert on the potential dangers of spending even a short amount of time in these extremely low temperatures.
A historic and dangerous winter storm takes aim at much of the country. I'm Casey Stiegel in a frigid Dallas, Texas. We've got the story coming up.
Authorities in Joplin say the victim in a shooting is dead. Officers say they responded to the Motel 6 on Range Line in Joplin for a call of shots fired. When they arrived, they found 43-year-old Matthew Painter of Joplin with multiple gunshot wounds. He died later at the hospital. Authorities say the case is under investigation and the man who police believe to be the shooter is cooperating with the investigation. No arrests have been made. It's important to stay safe in this extreme cold weather, but there are those who don't have any choice but to be out in the cold. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with a firefighter and a medical expert to see how essential workers are staying safe.
The 4 states are experiencing some dangerously cold weather, which is leading to preventable medical troubles. Lindsay Teal, nurse practitioner at Mercy Hospital, says being out in the cold, even for a short while, can lead to serious problems.
So one of the things we watch for with hypothermia, it tends to come on slowly, and it's kind of a creeping issue that you have slower reaction times, you have numb hands and feet, so you trip more easily, you fall more easily, and your reaction time's a little slower.
She says it also inhibits judgment, so despite thinking you're okay, you could still be feeling the effects. And while it may be safer inside, there's still many workers expected to be out in this cold weather. Joplin Fire Department Captain Adam Grimes is one of them.
Well, we're going to experience the same things everyone else experiences. It is freezing cold out there, and our bodies react just the same way.
He added that being out in this extreme cold is dangerous for them, especially when dealing with water.
It's not uncommon when we're fighting fire to have water and mist freeze on us, and the guys will be covered in ice, and they've got to thaw out to a degree, but we still have a job to do.
He says they make sure to get fires put out no matter what elements they face.
This is the job that we love, and we enjoy serving the community, and so it's just another challenge. I like to refer to us as we're just professional problem solvers, and this is just another problem that we deal with on a regular basis.
He says they're ready to help the community, no matter the weather. In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Captain Grimes says they're doing everything they can to keep firefighters safe. Pretty much all schools, including those in the Joplin School District, are out today in observance of President's Day, but tomorrow many plan to be out because of the weather and have students learn virtually. Joplin school officials tell us it isn't just roads that are dangerous.
And we don't like to close just for cold weather, but in extreme cases like what is being predicted for tomorrow, even if roads were clear, we would have to look at the possibility of frostbite.
For the latest information on school closings, go to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. When school districts decide whether to allow buses to run, they say there's no real magic formula for determining if that should happen. They'll send out drivers early to see what, if any, problems they run into.
It's hard to tell with side streets and with ice and black ice and everything else. If you don't go in actual neighborhoods, it's pretty hard to tell if everything is safe for the broader general area of the district.
Temperatures can play a role in that determination as well. If the school thinks it's unsafe for children to wait at the bus stop for more than 10 minutes, the buses will not roll. Winter weather has forced the cancellation of a mass COVID-19 vaccine clinic that was to be held today in Joplin. That clinic was set up for people getting their first doses. A clinic for second doses is still scheduled for Thursday and Friday at Missouri Southern. Winter storms bring ice, snow, and bitter cold for dozens of states from coast to coast. The weather's creating treacherous travel conditions, power outages, and forcing rolling blackouts all across Texas. Fox News correspondent Casey Stiegel has details from a frigid Dallas.
Millions of Americans impacted by a dangerous winter storm pushing across the country, dumping snow and ice and bringing record low temperatures. More than 150 million people under winter weather advisories.
The severity of the cold weather is unprecedented in Texas history.
Folks in Texas seeing some of the coldest temperatures in their lifetime. Millions are without power across the Lone Star State as officials implement rolling blackouts to ensure the power grid can keep up, leaving people without electricity as the mercury plummets. Those power concerns echoed across the region.
We are asking our customers, if possible, to conserve energy by lowering their thermostats for the next several days.
Thousands in Oklahoma also without power as bitter cold temperatures in parts of the state reached the lowest they've been in 116 years. Meanwhile, officials are warning about dangerous travel conditions. The storm is to blame for countless accidents on icy roads and thousands of delays and cancellations at airports across the U.S. This historic winter system started over the weekend in the Pacific Northwest, dumping snow and dangerous ice. It's now moving east, taking aim at the Ohio Valley and the Northeast by Tuesday. And relief is not in sight just yet. There is another winter storm behind this one that's expected to bring even more snow and ice to the region on Wednesday. That's the latest from downtown Dallas. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
After the break, we're going to have another look at the forecast from Chief Meteorologist Doug Hetty. Plus, as the debate over the minimum wage continues, we'll hear from people on both sides of the issue.
Here on Fox 14.
Well, of course, dangerously cold out there, plus the roads are terrible. I was out on the roads, about an hour and a half ago, and even the roads that are partially cleared have kind of iced up just due to the cars kind of traveling over the snow. So it's extremely slick out there, so don't go out if you don't have to. Hopefully the roads improve a little bit tomorrow, and then, of course, they're going to go right back downhill tomorrow night with our next round of snow. But 7 inches total in this one. In the Joplin metro, most people on the Kansas side were kind of in that 2 to 5 range, but for the season, we're at 13.5. We've had almost an inch of ice. Average snowfall now is 12 inches for a season. Forecast was 15, so we're getting pretty close to that mark. Of course, parking lots packed up with the snow. Indigo Sky, good look at the tower camera right now, of course. Hopefully everybody's inside and hopefully warm, because look at the temps. -7 Yates Center, -2 Nowata. We have -2 in Grove, -6 in Carthage. So everybody is already well below zero, and we're going to continue to drop. And we aren't alone. The entire Central Plains is battling this Arctic air, and it's been on top of us now for 8 days. It'll be nice when it finally starts to retreat a little bit later on this week. The winds are diminishing, but we still have very low wind chills, -15 to about -20, and those will drop even more during the overnight hours, hence why we got a wind chill warning in effect throughout the overnight into the morning hours. All the snow is rotated out of here. This is now moving up into the Ohio River Valley away from us, so at least we get a little bit of a break. It's just not a big break. Next system out across the Pacific Northwest, moving into the western parts of the Rockies, and that will start to affect us mainly after 9 p.m. tomorrow. So we have about 24 hours that we're not going to have any snow, which is, hey, definitely we'll take that. Wind chills tonight, -20 to about -25. Even tomorrow, they don't really even climb that much, only up to about -5 to 0 during the afternoon. So it's going to stay very cold, even though we're going to have some sunshine during the morning, which is going to be nice to see. But look at our overnight lows, down into the negative mid-teens. We have not been this low since right after that 2-foot blizzard that we had in 2011. We briefly, only one night, kind of like we are now, dropped to about -15 to -20. So we are going to rival that for us tonight. We usually can only get this cold is if you clear out and you have a big thick snowpack with Arctic air, you will always drop below zero, and we just only do it once or twice a decade, thankfully. Tomorrow afternoon, we should warm into the mid-teens, and then clouds will start to increase late afternoon. Look at a band of snow, starts to work in. This is mainly after 9 p.m., but it will come down at a pretty good clip across the region, especially from about 11 p.m. until 4 or 5 a.m. That's when our accumulating snow is going to occur. After that, especially along and south of I-44 into Wednesday morning, we're going to have light snow showers, but we could see additional light accumulations during the daytime hours on Wednesday. All right, accumulations right now, our northern counties I think are going to be 1 to 2. But I think really from Parsons, Pittsburgh, Lamar, south, most of us are going to be 2 upwards to 4 in our southern county. Something we don't need, especially with the cold. If we're not even going to climb above freezing until Friday. So that shows you we're going to have issues on the roadways all the way into the weekend. 15 tomorrow, 24 on Wednesday, 23 on Friday. Finally up to 32 by Friday.
We cover a lot of communities in a number of states. It's amazing to think at this moment, as far as we can tell, not one of them is as warm as 0.
Yeah, it kind of stinks.
Yes, it does. I can smell it from here. Thanks, Doug. Coming up, determining the safety of reopening schools.
The debate about school reopenings continues. I'm Ray Bogan. Coming up, why one teachers union says the new CDC guidelines don't do enough for urban school districts.
Hungry and looking for a deal?
The Centers for Disease Control is defending its latest roadmap for reopening schools. Fox News correspondent Ray Bogan has more on the issue President Biden pledged to tackle in his first 100 days on the job.
Students in Los Angeles held a car rally to protest school closures and let it be known they want to be back in the classroom.
We're really tired of doing school from home. I know so many of my friends who've literally gone into therapy since the pandemic has started because of the amount of anxiety and stress that they have.
Pressure is building to reopen schools. Nationwide, coronavirus cases are down nearly 40% compared to 2 weeks ago. About 1.5 million people a day are being vaccinated, and the CDC released new guidelines showing it can be done safely. The federal requirements include universal mask use, physical distancing, hand washing, and cleaning. It does not require teachers be vaccinated.
It's a layered mitigation approach, and what we've put forward in this guidance is the roadmap to get us there.
The United Teachers of Los Angeles said the guidelines, quote, do not do enough to address the specific challenges of large urban school districts. They add, the lack of a vaccine requirement is troubling. Teachers are in the CDC's vaccination phase 1B, putting them close to the top of the list, but supply and demand can increase wait times.
And we should put parents and kids first, not teachers' unions.
President Biden and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi say to safely reopen schools, it will cost money. They say that's another reason to pass the American Rescue Plan through Congress. Ray Bogan, Fox News.
Back with more news after this. There's a major debate taking place right now over what the impact of a $15 federal minimum wage would have on workers and small businesses. While many argue it would help lift people out of poverty, others believe it would lead to more job losses and force employers to cut back on their workforce. Fox News correspondent Rich Edson got reaction from those who have differing views.
Cindy Murray has worked 20 years in the fitting rooms at a Maryland Walmart.
I myself have a hard time paying for medical bills, and it's either groceries or going to the doctors or being able to pay for gas or electric.
Cindy says many of her coworkers have it worse.
I see some that sit in the lunchroom and they're not able to even buy lunch. It makes my heart hurt.
Across the country, workers like Cindy are closely watching the national debate to raise the minimum wage over 4 years to $15 an hour, more than double the current minimum of $7.25. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says that plan would bring nearly 1 million people out of poverty, though it would also cost about 1.5 million workers their jobs.
Increasing minimum wage has the possibility to destroy my business.
Nick Thomas says he started cutting grass in his neighborhood when he was 8 years old. He eventually grew that into a landscaping company in Kansas that has about 24 workers. Nick says he pays a starting wage of $12 an hour, and then he raises that amount with workers' experience and expertise. Nick says a $15 minimum wage would lift pay for all his workers, cutting his bottom line by at least a quarter. He says that means he'll have to raise prices and potentially reduce his workforce. The Washington, D.C. metropolitan area has one of the more expensive costs of living in the United States. That's where Carrie Kelly started her small business a decade ago. At her Northern Virginia store, Carrie says she has anywhere from 4 to 7 employees, depending on the time of year. Even though Virginia's minimum wage is $7.25, Carrie says she decided to pay her workers at least $15 an hour.
My knee-jerk reaction was, oh my gosh, we can't afford that. But I said that without actually doing the calculations on my balance sheet.
She argues paying workers more means more money in the local economy.
I don't only feel like I'm investing in my workforce, I feel like I'm investing in my community.
The fate of a national minimum wage increase is up to Congress, and there are significant hurdles: an evenly divided Senate, procedural impediments, and skepticism among some moderate Democrats. In Washington, Rich Edson, Fox News.
After the break, we'll look at the new movies and music released for retail this week. DVD, digital, and music releases this week include a mind-bending horror thriller, a historical drama, superhero crime thriller, and more. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with the list of new releases.
Honey, your father's going to take the door off the hinges if you keep locking it.
Katherine Heigl's psychological thriller Fear of Rain tops the list of what's new in home entertainment. She plays the mother of a troubled schizophrenic teenage girl who insists there's a little girl in her neighbor's attic being held against her will.
Hello, this is a distress call.
Allison Williams and Alexander Draymond star in the thriller Horizon Line. They play an estranged couple whose flight to their friend's destination wedding turns into terror when the pilot suffers a heart attack.
He is also an informant for the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Joel Kinnaman plays an ex-con and former special operations soldier who gets caught in the crossfire between the mob and the FBI in the spy thriller The Informer.
Churchill has asked us to create a secret army of spies.
A Call to Spy tells the true story of the women recruited and trained as spies during World War II to help undermine the Nazi regime in France.
Supervillains? Say super one more time.
Other titles include Arch Enemy, starring Joe Manganiello as a homeless superhero, and Paul Hogan playing a fictionalized version of himself in the comedy The Very Excellent Mr. Dundee.
It's in Lovecraft country.
From TV to DVD, the first season of HBO's supernatural drama Lovecraft Country, and the second season of the animated series Harley Quinn. For music fans, British singer-songwriter David Gray releases his 12th album, Skellig. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you tonight with a video of a Lunar New Year celebration in China. Please be safe. We invite you to join us at 10 in a couple of minutes on our sister station, KOAM. We'll see you then.